Okay, so Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 4 has aired. So, what I have to say after watching this episode, it really kind of gives you a strong idea of what has been going on with this season and how they've laid it out and where they're going with it. So, watching this episode, I realized that if you think about story wise, episode 1 was all about setting up this season's biggest conflict, which is Dany becoming the Mad Queen, which is clearly going to happen now. And it was also setting up other situations that would happen to lead to Cersei's conflict and where they're going to end the show. That was all in episode 1, and I really appreciate episode 1's writing. It was really good setup. However, I complained about episode 2 dragging its feet, and looking back, I was someone who did not like that episode, but people defended it saying, oh, we're going to look back and love that episode, how it sets up all this death in episode 3, which really didn't happen. So I liked episode 3 as standing alone, and it did exactly what I thought it would do, where it wasn't going to kill everybody. It's just a really good battle, but it made season 8, episode 2 just seem kind of useless and a big tease in a way, setting up all these deaths that didn't happen. Now, how that relates to my frustration with this episode is that what felt like episode 2 to me felt like the beginning of this episode again, where why were we spending so much time watching these people drink and joke around for like almost 40 minutes, and now you're in the final 3 episodes of this show ever, and you're still doing this, and it felt like an extension of episode 2 and what they were doing, which I did not appreciate. And again, if you're defending episode 2, it doesn't make sense in the outcome of what we've seen, because it didn't do really anything for episode 3. And then if you look how they just dishonored the whole Jaime Bran thing to me, because you're going to end with her getting knighted, like she's had this big send-off, and now she actually has this love story with Jaime, which I thought was so weird, because I know they've loved each other, but it felt so magical in its own right in the show that it never happened in a way, and it was like a what if. But it was so odd to me they choose to have them have sex and then her cry and he leaves and says goodbye and goes back to his drug, which is Cersei. I just felt it was very strange and just felt so not Game of Thrones, if that makes any sense to you. But with this episode, I just felt like when you showed this whole scene of them just drinking and everyone's having a, time where they're just trying to push down all the sorrow they have for what they've lost, and after that funeral, they clearly set up what we see is coming with Dany getting jealous of Jon getting all this attention, even Tormund just praising him for riding a dragon, which was Dany's thing in a way, which was really effective in showing that. But then we get some character moments that just felt strange, and I did not like Tyrion calling out Brienne for being a virgin in front of Podrick and Jaime. I thought that was so out of character for Tyrion. I know he said some snide things before, but that was like not even like he realized he made a mistake or said out of just totally being drunk. He just said it and then said it again and like looked at her. That was so off character to me, and it really actually frustrated me, because Tyrion's character they've really beaten down and not made as likable the last season or two, and this episode did not help with that, and it's scaring me how they're going to resolve Tyrion's story. And honestly, he got shown up by Varys here. I mean, Varys the one making sense now and not Tyrion, and Tyrion still's not really getting it. He has an idea deep down that he is ignoring, but Sansa was right here and calling him out, saying he's afraid of Dany, which is clearly part of this, and he also still has ties to his city in King's Landing and that Lannister thing that's going on, where it really shows that Varys having literally no penis and literally really no family, nothing to lose, is actually more genuine in his thoughts, and that he's just going for pure good, which is just defending this realm and doing what's best for the people, which is a really interesting thing. And I think that theme works. It also works when he says the line to Tyrion that Jon works as a ruler because he doesn't want to be a ruler. And that's another little lesson I like they're doing here, where they're showing Cersei so power crazy, as is all these people in the show, Littlefinger, and now Dany. And Dany's pride and her wanting to rule is kind of showing how actually that's not a great quality. And we know since the beginning Dany has wanted to do good, and that's her duty, is releasing slaves and changing the world, but her ego is her Achilles heel. And I do like the show's exposing that, and they're exposing everyone's flaw. And that goes to Jon too. Jon cannot say a lie, and he again just blows it, just like Ned. And I appreciate that the show is setting up that this is going to be a tragic ending in a way. And I think a lot of people are complaining, and they're saying, oh, they're mad at the creators for this, that they're blowing character arcs. But I would say it makes sense, because how else are you going to make this an interesting ending and have it more sad, which really, to me, is the George R. R. Martin way. He's the one who gave him the ending he wants. So people complaining about what they're doing with it, saying they're ruining the books, this is what he wanted, and they're just following along that path. So I think it's the most interesting route they could have gone. I mean, we couldn't just watch Dany and Jon live happily ever after and take this throne. I mean, I really just think, like I've been saying in all my reviews, that, Dany now clearly is going to go mad, and it's going to end up, I'm telling you, Sansa and Tyrion in the end, and everything's going to be in shambles, and I believe she's going to want to work with Tyrion to start a democracy. And it's just the lesson of the show in general, just everyone fighting for power and no one really being smart about this and trying to get along. It's just a lot about politics and humanity, and I think that's the best way for them to go. So I appreciate that, but there is just a frustration of how much this episode dragged its feet in the beginning. And I am going to defend, though, that the second half I thought was great. A lot of people are mad about how they killed that dragon. I am not. If we're going to do this argument again, it's the same argument people have when the Night King originally killed the other dragon and turned it into a White Walker with the spear throw. It's the same thing. How else are they going to kill dragons in the show? Like, come on, I know it's kind of crazy, but what are you going to do? The show has dragons. There's going to be crazy kills. It's a fantasy show. That's going to happen. I think it's fine. I thought it was cool, and it was a nice little shock, too, because it was in a happy moment for Dany. And it's really interesting how Missandei got kidnapped. That was a little sloppy how they did that, though, because everyone appeared on shore, but somehow they just got her. I would have liked to see them get her, and it was weird that they had Tyrion kind of look up from the water and this thing is about to fall on him, and they didn't really show that resolve either. That was odd. So there was a lot of sloppiness here, which I thought was weird, but I mean, Cersei's awesome. I think she had a great moment. I love the execution of Missandei. It's the perfect thing to completely set Dany off into Mad Queen, and that we would believe it, and that it is one of those things that it felt like Negan in The Walking Dead when he did his execution, and I think Cersei's a master at that, and it really was so Cersei. Just listen to Tyrion say all this stuff that makes sense, but she doesn't care. And look, Cersei's kind of smart here too, because Cersei knows that no matter what, even if she surrendered right there, she is going to be executed. There's no chance, and she knows that. She knows who Dany is. She knows either way she's not basically surviving, so why not try to just win it and do what she wants? And that's what I love about Cersei as a villain. And her plan right now is just working to a T. She's got the advantage now. I mean, she's got this golden army we still haven't even seen go yet. And yeah, I love Euron got his moment. He's awesome. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. I mean, look, next episode is going to be crazy. Dany's going to basically bring this last dragon out and go crazy. And now I think it's going to be, again, this kind of Dany-Cersei battle. And then it's going to end with a Dany, Jon, Sansa whole conflict, which I think is super interesting. I love where it's going, which is a very unpopular opinion right now. But I think they're doing the best they can. I just think that the layout for the season has been very sloppy, and that's been the most disappointing part. And they've teased things that haven't happened, and they've fallen to tropes. And I mean, it was just even weird seeing the send-off with Tormund, Gilly, and Sam. That just felt so unsatisfying, and it almost felt like they were trying to set up a possible spin-off show with Tormund even. Like, why wasn't he killed then in the last episode? I just don't understand what they decided to do with his character. Oh, and another scene I really didn't like was the scene with Bronn now coming to see Jaime and Tyrion. That to me was just total throwaway and the least interesting thing they could have done with Bronn. And I feel like, again, they had no idea what to do with Bronn. They had no idea what to do with the problem that him and Cersei can't be on set together. The actors don't get along. They used to date. That's a whole other thing you can look up. But they had no idea what to do, and that was really disappointing and kind of just a silly scene. So, again, there's problems here, but I thought it was a solid episode. I didn't think it was great, but that second half was really good. But it is disappointing in the sense, looking at it as like, this is the final 3 episodes, and this is the third to last episode, what we're getting. But we'll see. I just hope this episode lives to the hype. I think it will be great. I think it's going to set up for a crazy finish. But I'm very conflicted about this episode. It's a lot to take in. And again, I was just a lot of odd character beats to me in the beginning, but it's finished strong. It's set up for a wild finish, so I'm going to give it an 8.5. Let me know what you thought of this episode down below. I'd love to hear it. Please subscribe so you don't miss one of my reviews. I'll be doing every episode of Game of Thrones, so you don't want to miss that. I'll also be doing Big Little Lies and, of course, Handmaid's Tale. And please follow me at SteveVarley1 on Twitter and Instagram for more of me, and I'll see you next time.